to the DMF. I am your host, Justin Yachts, and today is part 2 of my interview with Trish Weaver Rhodes. She is an actress and a director. Enjoy. How was acting in God of Carnage?
Oh my God, I
How'd you
loved
feel
it
about
so
that?
much. I can say that now.
Yeah.
I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, I have that like panic
Yeah.
of like, oh my God. And it just so happened, this was a little bit of a weird scheduling thing too, because half the cast had COVID. So we lost a week and a half at the beginning. So we really only had 2 full weeks of rehearsal, and then we were in tech. And my brain was just like lines.
Yeah.
And like up to like tech, like still memorizing my lines. Like it was a lot. And it's a fast show, and you have to be, on top of those lines. But then it all
It's kind of like Sorkin a little bit. It's just that
a little bit, yeah. And
another.
and you can't, like, the minute you slow down that conversation, it just dies. And so we really worked on picking up cues. And it ended up being fabulous and awesome, and loved every second of it after that. It was because it like just clicked. Like there was like one day during tech when it was like, okay, this is it. We got it. Now we got it. Okay.
Which couple were you with? You were
Veronica.
Alan's wife? Okay, you're Veronica. Okay, you're the other.
I think I think I was Veronica. God, I can't even remember. Yes. Yeah, it was we had so many people come up to us telling us that, oh my God, I saw this on Broadway. Your show was so much better. Like, it's funny. We didn't realize it was funny, because I feel like
that happens like I think with every show. You're like, is this funny?
Yeah, this is funny. It was funny, and it was really funny. And I think
because you hear it so many times, so you're just like, is this funny? Until it goes up, you don't know if anything's funny.
Until you hear that first laugh, and then it sort of takes you back, like, oh, that is funny. Oh, like, that's right.
This is funny. This is actually funny.
This is actually
I thought I was in a drama.
Yes. Like, there were super serious moments, but even just directing, I try to find humor in every, because I feel like even in the most tragic of circumstances, there's humor.
Well, I think that's the danger of like even a Hamlet. I mean, there's humor with Hamlet, it's like to just play him as this stoic.
That's because I don't think that's real. That's not, at least in my opinion, that's not human nature, maybe to a fault, but I try to find humor in pretty much everything.
There's nobody out there sets out to just be all villain.
How boring, right?
Yeah.
How boring. Like, ugh. Yeah.
Well, like so every movie, they like just set out to make him a villain, and it's.
Well, I think once you find, there's so many layers, and once you find, the humor, or every villain, in my opinion, has to have, some sort of, I dare I say, soul. I don't know if that's even the right word.
Yeah,
but just something that brings that out, and I think a big mistake, personally, for myself, I can say, is when I've looked at something and I've gotten the idea in my head about how this is going to be before listening to it, if that makes sense. Because then I'll listen to it and I'm like, that's it. That's what it is right there.
That's why I think the rehearsal process is so important, because it's like so important to try different things and be like, okay, I don't think this will work, but let's just try it.
I have there's a couple actors who I've worked with a lot, and they laugh at me because one of my things that I say all the time is, it just occurred to me. It just occurred to me. Like I remember saying that so much during, what was it? During, Lifespan of a Fact. I directed Lifespan of a Fact. Every time we came into, I was, it just occurred to me. And then like one of the actors, Russell, was like, did you even read it yet? Like, did you read? I'm like, no, it just occurred to me, like after listening to, blah, 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 blah. So like,
sometimes that'll happen. You'll read a play and you'll get one way, and then you'll read it again and be like, oh, I didn't think of it in that way.
Yeah. Or just hearing when you hear a character through somebody else's voice, because in my head it sounds one way, and I'll have that sort of idea, and then I'll hear it in somebody else's voice. Wait a minute. Oh, And then I feel like an idiot. Like, how did I not see that or whatever?
Yeah.
So
I interviewed this person. She told me that, like, she'll have somebody read the play out to her so that she is hearing it in a different way. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Because you can read it and then it's going through this way, but then if you hear it from somebody else's words,
that's interesting. Yeah.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, I think, see this, okay, so this is, I admit a fault, and this is where my ego comes into play, because I feel like in my mind, like, I wouldn't be able to listen to it. I wouldn't be able to have, like, I would be critiquing it, and like the acting, like, I wouldn't be able to have it. I think I'd have to read it myself first. I don't think I could listen.
I would prefer to read it myself, but like, I think afterwards, though, maybe hearing it, I'm always scared to, like, to do Hamlet's. Like, I don't want to watch anyone else's Hamlet because I'm like, I want it to come originally.
Oh yeah,
from
no.
me. I don't.
Yeah, no. I can't. I don't watch. Like True West. Like I read it in school. Like we studied Sam Shepard in school. Like every theater, you study Sam Shepard in school. But I never watched anything. Like even I'm doing Closer now coming up. We have auditions next week. I've never seen the movie, and everybody keeps telling me, you haven't seen the movie? I'm like, I knew about it, but I haven't seen it.
I saw the movie like once 20 years ago.
Exactly.
And I don't
probably
have any memory of it.
Zero. Same.
Which is great. Yeah.
I can't, like, because then I feel like even if I come up with a cool idea, I feel like I'm cheating almost.
Against it. That's why I think reading is so important, because it
Agreed.
gives you more ideas.
Agreed.
Because if you watch a movie, you're getting an idea, but it's filtered through this prism. Whereas a book, you can, like, it's hard to go back and read Game of Thrones and not like see Tyrion from the movie. The show.
What? Perfect. And that's a perfect example. Prime example of that. I remember when the Harry Potter series came out. I bought, it was only at the time, this was 2000 or whatever. I bought the 4 books for my daughter, holy crap, my niece for Christmas. I was like, oh, Harry Potter, this is like a thing. I bought the little book set and was gonna give it to her. This is when I was in Ohio, and I was like, oh, you know what, I'll just start to read one of them, like, before I give them to her. I was just not planning on reading them. I was planning on skimming, to be honest. I read all 4 books in like 4 days and was like, this is amazing. Like, I couldn't believe I'd never read anything like that before. I wasn't into Star Wars as a kid or anything sort of fantasy. And so this was like, and then I saw the movies and was like, that was not what was in my head.
I know.
The books are so much better.
When you read the book, you're competing with you. Watch the movie, it's like, there's no way they can go into every single part. How did you see it? 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 Be like, okay, we've got 400 interpretations. Let's try it, like. Or
even, to even get into as much detail as reading the book, the movie would be 20 hours long. Like, there's no way. They were just written so amazing. Like, just.
It'd be hard to get people to sit for like I think in New York, they showed a movie that was like 18 hours long.
I died.
Like, I wanted to do it, just, say that like I sat through an 18-hour movie, but it's just like,
I couldn't do it. Yeah.
It's like, do we eat? I mean, I did a Marvel marathon where I watched all 19 films before Endgame.
My daughter and I did that.
We watched in a movie theater for 3, but I was at a movie theater for 3 days.
Yeah, no, we did them at home, and we had breaks in between.
And that for 3 days, you're with like people that you don't know, and you're kind of like, we kind of all just like decided, like, all right, this is the movie we're gonna sleep in.
Yeah.
I mean, only one guy that was there, I saw, like, he was able to stay up the whole 3 days. I'm like, dude, how are you alive?
Yeah, that's cocaine.
I'd be dead. He was old. Like,
that's drugs.
So
I don't generally like spending that many hours with people I know, let alone strangers. No, thank you.
I mean, that showed you how popular like Marvel was at the time. Where it's like, people were willing to sit for 3 hours, for 3 days with strangers.
No,
you'd have an hour and a half break.
Yeah, no.
And then that was about it. We would bring food. You would actually be able to order food and have it brought into the theater. It's like only time that would ever happen.
Yeah.
I think the Alamo Draft House provided showers. The place I had didn't. I was like, that would have been nice.
Like at that point, you're like, what am I doing with myself? This was
What am
bad.
I doing? I'm watching movies. So tell me a little bit about True West. How was that?
True West was awesome. That it's such, Sam Shepard. Hello. So
Could you
good.
imagine a Sam Shepard coming along like today? I just like nothing is like that. Like
No,
what he
nothing is
writes.
like that. It's so just raw and real, and
Yeah.
there's nothing manufactured about it. It's
Yeah.
just people talking, and it's relationships, and it was such a fun experience. Although I'm not gonna lie, I was a little intimidated because this is, Dan was in this show.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I
I'm
saw.
like, okay, no, I can do this. I can totally do
Like
this.
you gotta be. Yeah.
Like I have to tell him what to do. Like it was a little intimidating, not gonna lie. But then that like went out the window because it was, everybody was so into it. It was him and the young man Russell, and the three of us would go in and it was just such a great experience. And it was so fun creating with all of them. And then the two other characters, the two minor characters also were great actors, and they, it was really fun to just let the words sort of dictate what was going to happen. There was no Sam Shepard inherently has a lot of stuff in their scenes. Like there's a lot of stuff. Like there were a lot of props in this show, but it wasn't because the show needed it. It was the only show I think I've ever really been involved with where the set and the actors just were sort of one.
Yeah.
It was just sort of together. It was, and it was nothing
his sets are very, applicable to the script, where it's like usually you're just like kind of like skip over that part.
And it's a lot different, in that space, in that black box space, you're used to minimal anything, it's usually you get a couple boxes, and it's creating that way. And this was completely opposite of that. And it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like I was really proud of that too. Like just there was one point where I sort of just sat back and was like, oh my God, I see it. After the paint was dry and all this, everything was done, and we had them and their costumes and everything was pulled together, and it was like, oh my God, like I see it. And it was awesome.
Now, do you have a way you like to approach the rehearsal process? How do you like to?
I do. And I didn't know this until I got a few under my belt, but I realized I like to go in and I like to read it a bunch of times. And then I take it apart, we take it apart in scenes. And some of it honestly has to do with, actors' schedules and stuff like that. But I really like to do it in doable chunks and kind of not get it up on its feet for a hot second. I like them to read it.
Let it breathe.
Yes, and I like them to read it, and I like to talk about it, and
so it can be whatever it needs to be, as opposed to you stand here, you stand there, go there. Like you'll get directors that'll be handing you your blocking like almost on day one.
Yeah, no. I
Am
feel
I a
like
puppet? Am I Kermit the Frog right now?
block right. Yeah, no. It's better for everybody to even just kind of, memorizing, obviously, once you have it in your head is always when you get to really play. But I feel like helping them to get there is just doing it over and over and over and reading it and trying different things and talking about like where we're going, why we're going there, like what the intent is in the scene, all of that stuff. Not to like beat a dead horse or anything like that, but I feel like it gets it sort of, and then the lines come.
Yeah.
I mean,
when you set up the, I think that works better than just, here we go. We're going to. Just like, sometimes you'll get plays where there is no time. So you have to do that, go straight to that. But if you have time, if you have the benefit of that, it's like,
it's great. I love that. I love that. And you mentioned before Sex Please or 60. That show was all doors. It was one of those sort of almost
opening
farces where everybody is just going in and out of doors, in and out of doors. There was just doors. And it was fun to actually work with them with those classic kind of theater games of, why are you coming in? Where are you going? What is your, yeah, so that was fun to do with them, just to have them all sort of understand,
Yeah,
like,
the knock at
you
the
need,
door. Who's
yeah,
coming?
and you need to know where you're going and why are we doing this and why are we at this door, and just having
Yeah,
that intent and talking to them about all that
yeah.
stuff. That was fun too.
Know where you are at the character at this point, where you are here and that, it's harder in film because in film, I kind of, I just did a short film and I had
Yeah.
to, I'm like, okay, my character's here, my character's here, my character's here. So, I know where it is. You're going
Yeah,
to
you have
shoot
to
out of
like
order,
peg it
you
together in
know?
your head. Yeah.
Whereas with play, you're going through it and you can kind of like let it be what, have you ever seen that film, Vanya on 42nd Street? And it talks about,
No.
this is where Julianne Moore says she really learned how to act. She said
Mm-hmm.
it was because they're doing Uncle Vanya.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy who did My Dinner with Andre, they talk about their rehearsal process and when they would put it up. And they kind of made it for like no one to see. It was basically just these actors just doing this play. And it really wasn't made for anyone to go see. Like they weren't selling tickets to it.
Yeah.
So they had this, he was allowing them to like, it would be different every night because he would be like, he kind of came up with the idea of there are no wrong choices.
Right.
They just went with it. And Julia Moore said she learned that as an actor that she needed to create the circumstances for her work so that she could have the real reaction. And it's an interesting film
That, yeah,
to
that
watch,
makes sense
especially
though.
at a theater.
Yeah, for sure.
Because but sometimes we get stuck in it. We're like, okay, this is the way it should be, and it's like,
Ah,
is it?
yes.
It's
The
so
should
should
be's.
be, and then and then letting it be what it needs to be. And it's
Yeah.
I feel like somehow Broadway has kind of heard that, like, SAG is, not SAG, Equity, they're
Yeah.
very, about lines being exactly right and everything being the right, and it doesn't allow for any. I mean, you see a Broadway show, it's almost like a machine. It's just going,
Yes. Yes.
and then
It doesn't veer off in any direction. It is what it
doesn't
is.
feel, you never
Yeah.
feel like you're like in danger, as the audience member. There's no sense of like, it's just, it's timed, it's going to be over in 2 hours, and
Yes.
that's what they've set it at, and it's like
And
it
this is the
has to be
music, and
done
this,
there.
and these are the costume, and this is what has to
you
happen.
know
And there's not, that's it. Tight little
yeah,
box.
and then you're kind of like, I mean, some plays can do that. I saw Matilda in Broadway, and that was the
Yeah.
RSC, the Royal Shakespeare Company. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, that was good. They were like really talking to each other. But then, I've seen some plays where I'm just like, I don't even think there was a
Listening.
matinee, and I just felt like they're just like, you're just phoning it in, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. You can
Yeah, my
tell.
money back.
Oh my God. And that's
You're
so
making us
boring.
pay all this money to see you guys just phone it in. Maybe
Yeah.
8 shows a week is not the right thing then. Have actors
Thank
that are
you.
not going to show up for it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. There, let's revamp this in some way then.
Yeah,
Because,
exactly.
yeah.
I mean, do you have a play that you would like to direct that you haven't gotten to direct?
Oh, geez. That's a good
Yeah.
question. I don't even know. I don't know. No, I don't have, no, I don't.
No?
No, you know what? I'm sort of at that place where I'm taking all of it as experience and as getting a chance to learn and getting a chance to, figure out where I fit into all of this. I've only been really directing and sort of involved regularly, prior to this past, I guess, 2 or 3 years, I was doing maybe a show a year. There was a year that I wasn't even, I had a kid, I didn't even go to the Playhouse, so there was like, it's really only been the last 4 years, 3-4 years that I've really sort of delved into it and have been, honestly, True West fell into my lap. And I probably, if I hadn't done that, that would probably be one that I would say I would love to direct that show.
Would you want to go back
Sam
and
Shepard.
do like another Sam Shepard show, like maybe Fool for Love or?
Oh my God, yes. I did Fool for Love in college. That was such a great show, to be so dramatic and to be so angry and just, that was such a great show. Yeah.
What's the show he did with, it was supposed to be Patty, whatever, supposedly, they had like the lobster in it. It's like a giant lobster in it. And It sounds so ridiculous, but it works.
I can't
Show?
think. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. But yes.
What about would you want to do like a Streetcar Named Desire, something like that?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, those are like iconic.
Yeah.
Any of those would be just like amazing. But to be honest, I like the Kimberly Akimbos and the sort of the reckless. Like I like the weird sort of character things. When I was in school, obviously you're always taught about type and know, your type. And I was always, the ingenue, obviously, when you're that age, that's what you are.
Yeah.
And this is going to sound like really obnoxious, and I don't mean it to at all, but I hated, we would do these acting classes and we would have to do these scenes, or we'd have to do these monologues, or we would be doing these shows or whatever. There were like, I wanted to play like the ugly parts. I wanted to play like the characters, like that's what interested me. And I remember I can't even think what it was right now, but I did a scene, and I remember my drama teacher told me, my acting teacher said that I was too pretty for that role. Like nobody would ever believe that you couldn't do that. And I remember I was like,
it's theater.
What does that even mean? Like I was so pissed off. Like I was so mad about that, because I was like, and it was like
make-believe. It's supposed to be make-believe.
It was just, but it blew my mind. I was like, and so then like doing like what we do at the Playhouse and doing, like Kimberly Akimbo, and like finally I was getting to do these roles that were so interesting and, just ugly and mean or whatever. Yeah. And I had so much fun. Like those are the ones that I love. Like anything, like even anything with an accent or anything with just something that lets you actually create something as opposed to just being, I kind of like am in that phase of my life right now. Like I like doing that type of stuff.
You have a play that you like that you think is overdone, or that like you just are like, how many times you got to see that?
Okay, so this is good. This is probably either really popular or super unpopular opinion. I am not a fan of Shakespeare. I did so much Shakespeare in college and appreciate it for what it is, but really I hate it. Like I hate it.
We should be able to say that,
And you know what else? I hate, oh God, this is really bad. I am not a fan of like improv. I hate it. I hate it. I know that's terrible. Forgive me, my friends who do it. I'm so sorry. I am not a fan. Like I get
you mean like going to, improv or whatever. I don't know. I just think of that movie, Ted 2, where they like shout out like the most heinous things you could be like, you're at Bill Cosby.
You do all those acting things in school and you do, whatever. And again, whatever. I just like as an adult person, I hate it. I hate the exercise of it. I hate, like, I get awkward for people. I
used to hate, improv. And then I kind of like my acting teacher kind of made me start to like it. This is like, we were able to just like get into a conversation about, so we would take like a character that like has no development whatsoever and be like, all right, well, we'll put him in an improv so that he has something to go with. I see the benefits of both.
I do. Personally, I feel I get so awkward for people. I get embarrassed for people. Like, and then it's personal. I totally get it. I don't like feeling uncomfortable. I don't like seeing people fail. And
you don't like it. So you must hate like Seinfeld and like Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's like that's all they are.
No, see, I don't like Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's freaking brilliant. Like, no, I love it.
When you said the door thing, fell and hit the door, I was like, all I thought about is the Curbed episode where the girl saw him hit a door and she completely lost interest in him because
oh my God,
she saw him as weak. He hit him because he didn't notice the glass door, and hit it.
That's awesome.
And like she dumped him on it. He's like, I'm an old man. It's like he hit a door. It's like only Larry David would think of something so ridiculous. But so give me an example. So you don't mind that kind of failure, but like, so like American Idol, when they would go on there and like
Oh God, no, I
sing,
couldn't. No,
sing
I had to change
horribly,
the
and
channel. Like I couldn't take it. Like as soon as, no, I couldn't take it.
have Simon go, that was dreadful.
The prank shows, Punked, couldn't watch it, couldn't take it.
Really?
Like,
Even though they would reveal it at the end that
I couldn't take it. Or like the when people call up radio stations or whatever, or they like, you know, the prank calls and stuff, like I get stressed. I can't take it. I hate it. I hate it so much. I get so uncomfortable for people. Like it's awful.
That's so funny.
Awful.
Or like so like game shows where like, you know, they've got a, I don't know if you've ever watched like some of those Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and they like
Yes.
they mess up on the first question and but you already locked it in. I mean, they
I
knew it was wrong, but it's like, yeah.
I couldn't take it. The Impractical Jokers, is that what they're called? The
Yeah.
guys, that whatever.
I never watched that one, but yeah, I know.
I can't. You know, it's, you know, they'll, you know, it's a setup. You know what's happening, and they're like talking in his ear, and he has to say these ridiculous things to people, but the people don't know. And their reaction, like that's, I get like hives, like I can't take it.
What's that show, Nathan For You, where he like goes into a business and comes up with an idea for a business, but it's like absolutely like
ridiculous,
ridiculous. Like he's going into a bank for a job, but he has a kid in his ear. So the kid, you know, they'll ask him a question. He says, "That's because there's no bad guys."
Hate it. Can't take it. It's awful.
All right, good. We don't like improv.
No.
What, who are your inspirations? That's a good thing to kind of close.
Who are my inspirations as far as like in the theater world or just in life?
Yeah, just in life, anything.
You know, it's, this is going to sound so like cliche. It's so silly, but honestly, and I know I'm a mom, so, you know, there's that whole part of it, but my kids, my youngest daughter and my oldest daughter, but they're both such different people. And they're, you know, being adopted, I didn't grow up having anyone that looked like me or had any of that. And having that now and just seeing who they become or seeing them do something that's kind of me, you know, like they inspire me daily. Like there are things that they're so smart. And I look at them every day and I'm just like, how did I get that right? And how am I not messing it up? Like, you know, like that's even, you know, my older one, not so much, but my younger one is really starting to get into theater. Like she would come to me, she'll come with me to the Playhouse and she'll like help me do props, or like, she's very, very shy, but she'll start to do these things. And her comedic timing, she doesn't even get how funny she is. So funny. And I watch her all the time and I'm just like that, if I could bottle that and take that with me everywhere, even on my like worst day, you know, that positivity and her energy, I would like.
Well, that's what they say. We should be children, you know,
right?
If we could just think like a child, we would be. For some reason, we have this idea that we have to grow up.
Prime example. So in the past, whatever, couple weeks, whatever, it's been like outside, it's like the moon, Jupiter, Venus, like they've all been in a row, whatever. And where I live is sort of, there aren't a lot of street lights. So we can really, like from my backyard, if I turn the lights off, you can see like a lot of stars or whatever. And just a couple of nights ago, she's like, mommy. And she just wanted to lay on the trampoline and just look at the stars. And like, I'm like, oh, I got laundry. Oh, I got to do this, you know, and I just took the time to just like lay there with her for just like 10 minutes. And it was the most amazing, like you forget how to be that, you know, like you forget how innocent and how much they want to learn and how everything is interesting. And, you know, and then she asks questions though that are completely like, Google? Like, I have no idea. Google, but like at the same time, it's like,
that's good. You know, she's asking.
But she brings me back to that sort of love of knowledge and love of things that I'd sort of, you know, you put aside when you're so busy, you know, and you have to have life.
It's a hard thing. How do you to be happy and be busy and still, you know, be able to go? It's the, you know, Yeah.
and still find that piece of yourself, that you're not
Yeah.
sort of sacrificing to survive. Like, I'm not going to
Exactly.
sacrifice this part of myself because I have to have a paycheck, because I have to have a house or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm constantly trying to either read something or listen to music or, something that.
Just laughter. I think laughter is one of the best things.
And it's
And
so
that's
easy.
something kids do, is
And it's
they can
free.
laugh, and they laugh at anything.
Anything.
And that's something they're trying to take away now. They're trying to say, don't laugh at this, don't laugh at that. Laugh at whatever you want. Because it's
my favorite part of the day is in the morning dropping them off for school, because we laugh so hard. The younger one especially loves accents. We'll just bust out accents. We'll start talking like British, Australian. She'll bring out like and we'll just start talking to each other, and we're in hysterics. And by the time she gets to school, and I feel like it's for her and me both, like it's kind of getting her a good start to her day, because school, I'm not gonna lie, is a lot different than it was when I was in school.
It's hard. They're making it harder.
Hard.
And we're forgetting that they're developing people. And it's like, we can't just. It comes from Russia, where we got our school system from. And it's like, it's too much. And I feel like, we just want to make them like, the Japanese, the Chinese, to just continue working and have no life.
And, not for nothing, they're taking like 3 different times a day, they're having drills on what to do if there's a school shooter. And they're having
that's horrible.
It's crazy. It's
so terrifying.
At least once a month. With that. They're on some sort of lockdown because of something in the area or something. And so then you add that to it.
It's like, we can't let them just be kids. They can't just be kids. We've got to now drill them into the realities of.
It's crazy.
Insane.
So that morning sort of routine that we've gotten into has been like, it's for both of us really.
Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe AI is good. It'll make people realize, like, no, can't do that.
Until AI gets a gun.
Until AI gets a gun or something. But this is the day that the paperclip theory I was listening to. But anyways, do you have a beginning of the day routine?
Oh, yes. Sort of. Well, waking up is always a plus.
Yeah.
Always grateful when that happens. I have big dogs. So
cool. There's
always a wake up in the morning, get them fed, get kids ready for school. There's a lot of that in my life. I don't get a lot of like, it always cracks me up. I'll read things online like, in the morning, I don't even look at my phone for at least.
They don't have kids. They don't have kids.
No,
they have no idea what they're doing.
To just be, and I do some yoga, and like I would love to say that there is none of that happening. I have no time for that.
With 2 kids, no, you can't do that. And dogs,
there's waking up. There's feeding the dogs, because trust me, they are. I don't need an alarm clock in my life when I have them. They are very regimented.
They're going to tell you.
Yes, yes. So there's that. Getting the kids ready, getting myself ready. And then, like I said, my favorite time is the car time, like taking them to school, like just laughing hysterically and doing all of that. And then I come and I'm an accountant, and then I'm in that world for many hours. But then I'll have stuff like this sitting around, because I'll be doing something, and then I'm like, oh, and so then I'll like grab it and like write something down, or I'll think of something, or I think I've found like a good balance between the two worlds.
That's good.
I found a good balance. I'm at a place, it's taken a long time, but I think I'm at a place where I have, what feeds me really and what feeds me literally sort of balanced.
And that's what you need. Balance is the key. Do you have a nighttime routine?
Yes, actually I do. Well, it depends. Okay, I'll take that back. It depends on if I'm in theater world, because if I'm in theater world, I don't get home until 11 o'clock or whatever. But if I'm just in regular world, it's go home after work, listen to the kids for a hot second, dinner, all of that stuff. And then fortunately, my kids are of an age where they kind of like to go to their rooms by themselves, which is lovely. They'll go do their thing. And then I have a chair my kitchen is like long.
Yeah.
So I have like this little nook in my kitchen where I have this big fluffy comfy chair, and I have my little, my little lamp, and I'll sit there, and that's sort of where I veg between like, let's say 8 and 10. That's where I read. That's where I listen. Like if there's a TV in my kitchen, if I need to like do something or like look at a script or whatever, that's like my spot.
That's good.
And it's like the perfect, it's right by the slider. So the big horse dogs have to go out, they'll come and they'll lay there with me. And it's like,
what kind of dogs do you have?
They're rescues, so it's hit or miss what they really are. But the big one, Oliver, is 110 pounds, and he's like golden retriever, but he's mostly black, which is interesting. He has like the brindle where you can see the blonde coming through.
Yeah.
Golden retriever, bull, one of the bully breeds, and Rottweiler. And then the other one, she's like a manatee. She's just fat. I don't know what she is. She's blonde and she's big. And she has a really long nose. Like we call her the Franken doggy because she looks like several dogs kind of put together, which isn't very nice. But yeah, so they're yeah. And then we have Kitty Perry, which is our cat, Kitty Perry. So we have her. So we have a full sort of house.
Do you meditate? No, we kind of answered this already, but
well, no. Okay, sort of. So do you know the Calm app? Do you have the app Calm?
Yeah. I know the Calm app.
So I do a lot of stuff on that app because
that's good.
Like to actually take the time to like do it myself. Like, no, I'll put my AirPods in and I'll do one of the like 2-minute things that they have on there or whatever. And that's my like, or I'll listen, like it'll get really loud at work and I'll put their, they have like this white noise mixed with like
that's what I use. I use a thing called brown noise.
Brown,
where it blocks it all out. And then
just listen to that earlier today. They have one. Have you heard the green one? They have a green noise too.
For some reason the ALEXA still doesn't have green noise. I'm kind of pissed. I'm like,
the green one is good.
Green noise.
I get what you just did there. It took me a hot second.
Yeah, because if I say it,
exactly.
it'll go off, and then it'll be the green noise. Yeah, I mean, there's a different. I love those because it does. If I put brown noise on,
it focuses me.
I can't hear anything.
No, but it also like oddly focuses me in a weird way to like sort of get out of my head a little bit. Or like I did this during COVID when we were working from home for a short time. I love books. I love reading and I have zero time to sit with a book anymore. So what I'll do, I put and listen to the audibles. I'll listen and I'll clean and I'll be listening to a book. And then all of a sudden, like, oh my God, my house is clean. I wasn't even like, I heard a whole book or whatever. During like the home, when we were stuck at home for a while, I really started listening. I started getting into biographies. Like I started, Mission. It was called Mission. It was the Jimmy Stewart biography, which was completely fascinating. And that got me, and Martson, I think was the author. Martson, I think he does the biographies. Oh my God, fell in love with it. And that was the very first Audible book that I bought was the Jimmy Stewart. And so then it became like this thing where I would just like, and then like it becomes this, like my kids will come up and start talking to me and I'm like, like take it out. Like, wait a minute, mommy's reading.
Mommy's reading.
Yeah.
That was my next question. What are you reading?
There you go. I just did, well, right now, Closer. I'm like in Closer World.
Yeah.
Like that's all I'm reading right now. And listening. Actually, I'm looking for lots of like British 90s music right now. So I've been listening to a lot of like Radiohead and like Blur and Oasis and like finding all the, like I'm on that a lot right now. So.
Well, that's the next question. I was gonna ask you, what are you listening to right now?
Well, look at me. Yes, that's what I'm listening to right now, which is a lot of fun. Like I have Spotify. So I Oh, I go down wicked rabbit holes, man.
It's the
Like
greatest thing about Spotify's like used to be you had to buy,
everything.
either the CD or now you have everything. It's like there's no excuse to not know
No, not at all.
multiple
And I'm
forms
such
of
a
music.
big, I love music. I love music. I
Me
love
too.
adding it to shows. I love like even
Yeah.
the pre-show music.
Yeah.
I'm such a fanatic. Like every
Yeah.
song will mean something or like, you know,
Yeah.
so music. I love it. Love it so much. And this is like that sort of what is it, Britpop, like that 90s sort of I wasn't all that
Yeah.
familiar with. And then I started listening. I'm like, oh my God, I know this song. And then it,
That's that song Underworld. Underworld is the band, and they sing it at the end of Train Spotting.
yes,
That's an interesting song. It's a long
yes,
song. It's like a 10-minute
yes.
song, but
hmm So
it's an
yeah,
interesting
I'm
sound.
listening to
Yeah.
all that fun stuff right now, trying to get like in that mode.
What are you watching now?
What am I watching right now? Oh, okay. So again, a total coincidence, has nothing to do with Closer, but a friend of mine just turned me on to BritBox through
Oh
Prime.
yeah.
Okay, so I bought BritBox and I've been obsessed with like, there's a show called The Cleaner on BritBox. It's Greg
Yeah,
Davey.
yeah, I
He's
know.
a British comedian. Yeah, yeah. And that brought me to Taskmaster. Have you ever seen Taskmaster?
I
Which,
know of I don't know. Do we have
okay, so this is going to kind of go against what I said earlier about improv, but this isn't really improv. This is like game show environment. It's basically Greg Davies has all these tasks that he makes all of these. It's all these British comedians that come on his show. Basically, there's 5 of them, and they film this show over like 6 months, and they're just stupid tasks that they have to do, but they're so freaking funny. Like they'll have like a bucket of water, like he'll have them out in the middle of the winter on a track with a bucket of water, and they have to get the water to the next bucket using like a sieve or whatever, or they have to come up with a creative way, and it's time.
What's that British comedian Jimmy Carr, I think it is, or whatever. He's like he's very vulgar and very
There's
sense of
something of
timing. It's so great.
even it's the timing. I think you're right. Like no matter what they say, like I'll watch these people, and in my mind, I'm always saying like that wouldn't be funny if they weren't British. Like it's funny. It's interesting. Like that whole.
Well, they know how to like line up the language so that it lands.
Yeah, yeah.
Britain is
Yeah.
such a culture of thespian culture is just
and just the way, like even in Closer, like the way some of the put a sentence together is just like there's certain, like it sounds better if you say it this way than if you say it this way. Well, yeah, if you're saying it this way because those British, the way you say it like hits. If you put the English version of that or the American version of that, it's flat.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like that when I'm watching it, like I
learn
appreciate
the transatlantic speech that we no
Yes.
longer do anymore.
No.
The transatlantic speech.
Oh yeah, you take classes in college how to be standard, no inflection whatsoever. Like you learn to be no accent, no regionalism, no anything.
Yeah.
Like where are you from? Nobody would ever know.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have that Kentucky accent or you have that,
it's not going to help.
Tennessee accent, like people are going to know instantly where you're from.
This has been great. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. I was so nervous. Like,
no, you're great. I knew you were going to be great. When I read your first email, I was like, yeah, she's going to be great. Just let me take you through this.
Yes.
So how can people reach you?
People can reach me. Okay, I'm old, so I have my AOL email still. So it's tweeve@aol.com.
Tweeve. Cool.
Yes, it's a combination. My name was Trish Weaver. So when I first made that first AOL account back in 1997, and I've just kept it forever and ever, which is funny because I still have people that I went to college with that find me because of that. They'd be like, is this still your email? I'm like, oh my God, yeah.
It is.
Yeah, so it's cool.
Or
you can just look me up at the Lake Worth Playhouse. I'm always there.
Yes, on the Lake Worth.
Absolutely.
Anything else?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, that about does it for my interview with Trish Weaver Rhodes. I hope you enjoyed it. That was the final part of the interview. As always, you can find me at Justin Yachts. Please like, share, and subscribe, and check out the YouTube channel. And I will see you next time on the DMF.